All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and great glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rahak, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to the elect pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth in truth and in sincerity. In this particular video, we're going to be touching on what is the mark of the beast, and this is going to be a part 3. Now, if you haven't watched the first part, I suggest you go watch it if you don't know what the mark of the beast is. Because in the first part, we proved that the mark of the beast is, in fact, microchip. All right? You have a lot of camps out there that'll tell you that it's sleeping with white women, that is John 3:16, that it's something spiritual, that is Christianity, that it's an embargo, so forth and so on. They'll tell you everything that it's not. All right? So in the first part, we proved that the microchip is the mark of the beast. Over here in America, they call it the RFID. That stands for radio frequency identification device. Over there across seas in Sweden and Spain, they call it the NFC, near field communication. And in that first part, we proved that that is the mark of the beast, the microchip. And we also get into the chip that goes inside of the forehead. And that's actually talking about the brain chip. All right. And we're going to get into that in this particular video right here. But the first part, we show you what the mark of the beast is. And then we get inside also the etymology of the word for mark, because the New Testament was written in Greek. So we get inside of the etymology of the word mark. And that word mark is charagma in the Greek. That's the word that they used. And charagma means to carve. It is a physical thing, showing you that it's not something spiritual. All right? It's not sleeping with white women or nothing like that. It's a physical thing that's carved into your hand. And then we get inside of the root word of charagma. And that's charax. And that's the delivery system of how they're going to give you the mark. And then we get inside of the root word of charax, which is grapho, getting inside of the information that's actually going to be on the chip. In the first part, we go over all of those things. So if you don't know what the mark of the beast is, I suggest you go watch the first part. All right. Now, in the second part, we get into what the chip is in the hand and how they're going to advertise it to you, make it desirable, make it more appealing, make it attractive to you, try to sell it to you so you could go get it. All right. Then I show a couple videos of them trying to do that very thing. It's a woman out there by the name of Chip Girl, an Edomite woman. And she's showing you how convenient it is to have it. She's at the grocery store. She's paying for things at the grocery store. She's walking around her big ass house and showing you how she got the doors chipped and she got a gym, how that's chipped, and certain gadgets that her husband made. She can lock them. She can only unlock them by the chip in her hand. So she's trying to show you that. Also, I played videos in part 2 showing you employees at certain jobs that I believe I played the video of Wisconsin. There's a job in Wisconsin, a company rather, and they chip their employees. Anybody who wants to get chipped, they chip them. And a lot of them got chipped. And, you know, through a little chip party. And they showed you how they would pay for little snacks and shit in their EDR. You know, so they were trying to advertise it and try to show you the convenience of having it. All right. And a thing about this is they're advertising it right now, but eventually it's going to be mandatory that you have this mark, right? It's going to be mandatory, and we're going to get that in the scriptures. And I also showed you that they're selling the mark of the beast do-it-yourself kit, DIY is what they call it. DIY means do it yourself. All right, so you can get your own your very own mark of the beast. For what was it, like $70? They give you the whole kit. The kit and caboodle, as they would say. Right? But in the second part, that's what we go over. And we show you that. And we focus on the chip that's in your hand. All right? In this particular video, we're going to be talking about the brain chip. The chip that goes into your brain. All right? As a matter of fact, let's get Revelations 13:16. This is Revelations 13 and 16, and we read, and he causeth all. So he causeth all, which means it's going to be mandatory. Right now, people are voluntarily doing it. But in the future, it's going to be involuntary. You're going to have to get it, or you're going to be a threat to society. And you're going to be subject to be getting put to death if you do not have this. All right? Continuing. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. This is everybody now. To receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And when it means in their forehead, it's talking about on their brain, the brain chip. All right. It makes no sense to put the chip in your right hand and then put it behind the skin on your forehead. Why would you choose to put it in your forehead? It's not talking about that. Behind the skin on your forehead. It's talking about the actual brain chip. And we're going to get into it. All right. Let's continue real quick. I just want to finish it up. And that no man might buy or sell. See, if you don't have this mark, you won't be able to buy or sell. See, this right here cuts that it's sleeping with white women. How does this make sense? With buying and selling, you in the grocery store trying to make a transaction. How does it make sense that it's Christianity? That's an embargo. That is John 3:16. So forth and so on. It does not make sense in a grocery store scenario. Only one that makes sense is what the mark of the beast actually is, and that is the microchip. The whole world is moving toward this direction, and the microchip will be the device that you need to have in order to make a transaction, because everything is going digital. All right. And part two, I actually share some information on Banco Sabadell meeting with a large company and showing you the new global currency and how they transfer money, so forth and so on. So I suggest you go watch part two as well. All right. But right. It says, or in their foreheads, that's talking about the brain chip. And if you take any one of these marks, hey, you're going to get put to death. All right. You're going to get a nuke. There's a nuke with your name on it. There's a warhead with your name on it. All right. Let's get Revelations 14 and let's start at 9 and go to 10 and we read. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in their forehead, that's that brain chip, or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So this is a punishment for taking this mark. All right. So don't take it. So it's very imperative that you know what this mark actually is. And you don't take it, despite all the advertisements that they throw out there in front of your face. Because guess what? This one right here, this brain chip can do a bunch of things. To people, it's like miracles. All right. They can make the blind see. They can make the lame walk with this brain chip. They can cure Parkinson's disease. They can cure depression, so forth and so on. In Revelations 13:14, it touches on his technology, his miracles, getting into Esau's technology as well. All right. And the MOTB is a part of that. And he could do a lot of things with this MOTB. Some of the things that I just mentioned. All right. On the medical side of the game, and we're going to play these videos too. So I'm not just going to say these things. I'm going to play the videos to back them up. But I'm going to say them in a way because, Esau like to use these big words. So I'm just going to simplify them to make it easier to digest, if you get what I'm saying. All right. Now, on the medical side of the game, how would they make this? How would they advertise it to you? Make this appealing to you? Make this attractive to you? Make this more desirable to you? So you just take it yourself before it comes mandatory. Well, this thing, like I said before, it can cure the blind. It can make the blind see. It can make the lame walk. If somebody was to get in an accident, right, and they became a paraplegic, their spine got injured. Well, they can put a chip in your brain and then a chip at the base of the spine or where the spine was severed, where the communication is severed at, because, the brain crackles to and fro with information. So when you say you want to lift your leg, your brain actually sends that message down to the leg and your leg moves, right? But if you get into an accident and your spine gets damaged, then that communication is severed. So it's sending a signal, but the signal is not reaching your leg, so your legs don't work. Now, if with this technology right here, they can put a chip in your brain that captures that signal being sent and then Wi-Fi's it down to the other chip at the spine where it was severed at. And that right there gives the communication, that gives that message to your legs. And now your legs work. So they can actually make the paralyzed get up and start moving and walking again. Left-handed miracles. All right, that Yahweh Shai had been done. You feel me? So these are left-handed miracles that they're showing you, man. So on the medical side of the game, you have people thinking like it's a no-brainer. Why not take it? Right? If somebody is missing the whole arm, they can, since they can put a chip on your brain and get that information of you want to move this, you want to grab this. You want to grab this and put this over here and put this down over here. You want to wash your face with your hand. You know, that information, they can hijack that information and they can put it on a robotic prosthetic, which they have out there. So now you just don't have a stiff-ass prosthetic arm. You have now an arm that when you think about moving it, it moves like a natural arm. So people who has their leg missing or their arms missing, shit, you can be an oblong, which was a show that came on back in the day. It was a dad, he had no arms, no legs. You could be like that. And if they put chips in your brain and chips at your spine, well, you can have electronic prosthetics. And it could be a mug walking around like a cyborg out this mug. All right? So this is how they're advertising it as well. And this is on the medical side of the game, you see? If you're blind, let's say a dude was missing his eye. They can put a technological eye in you with that chip and make you see through that thing, man. You see? Entertainment. Now let's move to entertainment. That was a little bit on the medical side. Now, entertainment. For people who play games and stuff like that, they got this thing called VR, which means virtual reality, right? Which you put this headset on and the whole room becomes another world or whatever like that. You have to look it up to see it. All right. Well, with the chip, you could do something called a deep dive or a full dive, which means you could be laying down on the couch and then in your brain, since you got the chip, you hooked up and you just in the game some damn where. You really submerged into the VR. To these nerds out here, that's going to be one of the hottest things. Get the brain chip and they can be on and will submerge into a VR. They can escape reality deeper into the game. If you get what I'm saying. So on the entertainment side of the game, they can do that. All right. They also have something called augmented reality, not just virtual reality. They have something called augmented reality, to where they can alter what you can see. You know, somebody who's augmented reality, they also have glasses that could do this too, which means, you see reality, but you can show different things. You can have the weather in the corner of your eyesight, certain things like that. So the people that want to be entertained, there's room, for that with the brain chip. Now let's talk about pure convenience. Well, pure convenience, we about to after I play this video, we're going to look at a video with Joe Rogan. Now I want to talk about the entertainment just real quick. Again, there's a video with Joe Rogan that the second guy who took the Neuralink, the brain chip, because 2 people took the brain chip already. The first guy loves it. Second guy love it. Man, these mugs is loving this brain chip. But this second guy, he likes to play games online, and he's just nobody can beat him because he just has to think about it, and now he's killing people instantly on these shooting games. So he's just better than everybody. So that feeds into the entertainment as well. But convenience is also, let's get into the convenience. You don't have to use a mouse or a keyboard when you have the brain chip. Now, in the interview on Joe Rogan, the dude is talking about that. He can control computers with just his mind. He just by you thinking about it. Right. Also, if you have a phone and I got a phone, we could talk with each other. But with the brain chip, you don't need a phone. You could just talk with each other through chip to chip. Telepathy. You don't even need to open your mouth. You can send text messages by the chip. And I know it sounds like what it sounds like, but we're going to play videos to prove this. All right? You can pass information through the chip. If you got one and the other dude got one, you can just pass information instantly. If you don't know where to go, you can GPS it with your chip. If you don't know an actual cooking recipe, you can Google it in your mind. You see? You can Google certain languages, so forth and so on. So out of the pure convenience of it, this is how they're going to try to make it appealing to you. All right? But if you take this, guess what? You're going to be destroyed. Now, saying all that, one might say, can they actually do that? Yes, they can. And in this particular video, we're going to play some videos and we're going to get into that. So with no further ado, I know I spoke a lot. Let's play this video. And this is how the Neuralink brain chip actually works. All right. So they're going to, get into it. Allow me just one more minute here. You have a frontal lobe, an occipital lobe, which is the back of your head, and the both sides of the parietal and the temporal lobes. All right. So they have threads, which is little tiny wires that's on this Neuralink, and they spread them over your brain in certain spots. Now, there's a layer over your brain called the cerebral cortex. So this is what they put these wires or these threads, this is what they plug them into, but they plug them into different parts of your brain. Like I mentioned, the frontal, occipital, temporal, and parietal lobes. All right, the front, back, and the side to side, if you can get it. All right, and the frontal is how you move, is all your actions. The occipital in the back, that's focused, that's more on how you see. The occipital, the parietal and the temporal, which is the ones on the side, the lobes that's on the side. These are with your smell and your taste, things of this nature. All right, so they put these threads on all of them so they can hijack your actual thoughts. It's called the Neuralink because your brain has what's called neurons. That's what passes the information to, your body parts. It sends that information to your central nervous system, which goes down your spine and brings it to wherever, the information to wherever it needs to go. So I said all that to play this video so you don't get too much confused on the words that they use. So with no further ado, let's get into it.
Musk's Neuralink is a brain implant that can turn human beings into cyborgs, reverse physical disabilities, cure diseases, and save the planet from evil AI superintelligence. But how does it work? While a lot of science involved is literally brain surgery, I promise you that it isn't as difficult to understand as you might think. We are about to show you the inner workings of the brain-computer interface device known as Neuralink. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is create a physical interface between your brain and the computer. That means we need to access your brain, and that means we cut a nice round hole into your skull. Not too big, just about the size of a watch face, that's all. Now, this is the outer layer of your brain, the cerebral cortex. This is where all of your high-level calculations take place. Different segments of the cortex control different aspects of your mind and body. Towards the front is where your mood and emotions are processed. Towards the back is where all of your sensory inputs get received, like touch and vision. Right in the middle is the motor cortex. This is the sweet spot that Neuralink wants to access, and it's because this particular section of the brain matter is responsible for turning thought into action. The idea here is that we can hardwire the motor cortex directly into a computer. Now you are controlling that computer entirely with your mind instead of a mouse and a keyboard. For a person who physically cannot move their hands, this is a life-changing enhancement. But even for a able-bodied person, you would unlock 1,000,000 times more bandwidth in the connection between your mind and the machine. Your thoughts instantly transformed into digital action. In order to access those thoughts, though, we need to insert a wire into your brain, and this is not just any wire. Neuralink engineers have developed an ultra-flexible metal thread that is thinner than a human hair, yet is also able to carry 16 separate electrode connections into the brain tissue. Each Neuralink N1 device has 64 threads that need to be inserted into the cortex, and the level of precision required is so high that no human surgeon could perform the operation.
Right, so they let AI actually do the surgery. You know, this reminds me of a particular precept. It's 2 Ezra 13, where it says, they were afraid, but durst still fought. Hey, maybe the soldiers, had the brain chip, and they were forced to fight. Now, the second video that I'm gonna play is going to show you that they can hijack you. They can make you do what they want. They can put thoughts in your head. If you got the brain chip, they can put thoughts in your head. They can change your emotions. All right. They can do a lot. They can show you in these movies. It was one movie, I believe, called Divergent, where everybody was taking a chip. And this one didn't take the chip. A couple people didn't take the chip, as a matter of fact. But all of a sudden that night, those who took the chip, they were like zombies. They got up and they were just following the orders to go basically crash out, on the population. And that's just Esau letting you know what this thing can actually do. But this is a little lengthy video, so no further ado, let's hop into it. Salakia.
So instead, Neuralink uses a robot. The function of the R1 robot is remarkably similar to a sewing machine. The robotic arm has a tiny needle on the end that will very quickly stab into the brain material, deposit the thread, and then retract. The R1 has an advanced targeting system that helps it to avoid hitting any veins or blood vessels within the brain. The needle and the thread is only piercing the surface level of gray matter. What we're targeting with those threads are very specific cells inside the brain matter called neurons.
3 signs your vocab is weak. You overuse words like literally.
Targeting with those threads are very specific cells inside the brain matter called neurons. There are 86 billion neurons distributed throughout the entire mass of your brain, and 16 billion of them are located in the outer cortex layer, and that makes them accessible to a Neuralink electrode. In the most basic sense, neurons are like little switches inside your brain, and they allow these electrochemical signals to travel all the way down from the cortex through the intersections of the brain and into the brain stem, where those signals get dispatched out through the nervous system to all the different parts of the body. So every action of the human body, from blinking your eyes to kicking a ball, begins with a particular sequence of neuron activations.
You see why it's called Neuralink? Because it's linking up to your neurons. It's hijacking that. It's basically peeping in on what you think, what you're thinking and what you want to do. Eavesdropping on you. All right. I like to use the word hijack. All right. As a matter of fact, they call it biohacking. Bio pertaining to life of the human body. All right. Life. And they say hacking. So you basically hacking the human body. How do you do that? Well, he's explaining to you, putting a chip on your brain.
Sticking our electrode thread right into the brain material where these neurons live, we can start to read the signals being broadcast by the neurons, kind of like eavesdropping on the brain's internal communications. Right now, we are only looking at them in a binary sense. The neuron is either active or not active, 1 or 0. And in this way, we can start viewing brain activity the same as computer code. In the instant that you perform an action like clenching your fist, a group of neurons will switch from inactive to active, from 0 to 1. And as long as that pattern is repeated every time that you perform that action, then we can essentially decode the neural signal for clenching a fist. So that's great. But what do we do with it? Well, imagine you have a spinal cord injury just below your brainstem. Your neurons can still generate the signal for clenching a fist, but the physical connection to the arm has been broken, so the message isn't getting delivered. But if we can use the threads to read that signal directly from the cortex, then we can create an electronic bridge that bypasses the physical damage and delivers the message into the nervous system. Or, in an even more extreme example, you could send that neural signal out of the body and into something else, like a robotic arm, that
You see?
would respond to brain activity in exactly the same way as your biological arm. This is all stuff that
Salakia. You see? This is how they're trying to advertise it to you. Now, somebody that doesn't know what the mark of the beast is, and they had no leg, and they hate not having limbs, if they get this advertisement to say, hey, you know you can walk again, and Esau really lay it on thick on you, yeah, you'll walk better than, hey, it's better than a normal leg. Oh, he gonna take it, man. If you don't know what the MOTB is, this video is to show you how they're going to advertise these things to you. These miracles. They're going to show you left-handed miracles with these things. But nonetheless, it is the mark of the beast. Don't take it. We read Revelations 14 and 9 through 10. That's the punishment for taking the mark. All right? You will be destroyed. Now, it has came out that when you are being nuked, because if you take this mark, you will be nuked. All right? You will suffer nuclear destruction. The Lord is going to leave your spirit there. Does it not say that death in this time, death shall flee from thee? Death is going to flee from you. Your spirit going to be there. Now, there's no telling how long the Lord is actually going to leave your spirit there while you're burning. All right. Now, in one particular video, I was getting into how hot a nuke actually burns. All right. And one particular nuke burns 200 plus million degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, no, Celsius. Can you imagine how hot that is? That's unbearable, unfathomable pain. Shit, if it's 300 degrees a human, you can die in 300 degrees if it's hot like that around you. You can suffocate. You be a heat casualty, heat stroke. Can you imagine 200 million degrees? And I say all this to, hey, just put your mind in a place that that's where you going to be if you take this mark. All right? And that's for sure. You can bet on that. Let's get back into it.
Elon Musk is talking about right now. This is what he expects the technology to accomplish within the next decade. But that still doesn't explain how this is going to happen. Want to know the secret to becoming a successful YouTuber? I'm going to tell you right now. It's one very important ingredient: caffeine. YouTube is a job that never ends, so that means I need an endless supply of coffee at home and around the office, which is why I love Trade Coffee. Trade is a coffee subscription service that within 4 flavor protein. If we've got the physical side of Neuralink down with the neurons and the threads, then the rest is actually pretty easy. Let's talk about where those wires lead. The N1 brain implant. This electronic device is only about the size of a quarter and the thickness of a wristwatch. Elon Musk often calls it a Fitbit in your skull, and he's pretty much bang on with that description. The electronics are encased in a soft, non-reactive silicone jacket, and the implant will sit on top of your brain, inside the hole that was cut into the skull. It's thin enough that the skin can be folded back over the hole, and the device will be totally covered. No visible sign that you have a brain implant.
Well, the scriptures say that you will have a visible sign that you took the mark. It said those who took the mark will have a noisome and grievous wound. All right, a cancerous, pus-filled ulcer on you, where you took that mark at, whether it be on your hand or whether it be on the top of your damn head. So I just wanted to pause it to say that.
Inside the N1 case is a small lithium-ion battery cell, a wireless charging coil, a Bluetooth radio transmitter, and a silicon microchip with a very tiny computer printed onto it. Basically, the same stuff you'd find inside a Fitbit. And just like a Fitbit will measure your heart rate and convert that data into computer code, the Neuralink is measuring your neuron activity and converting it into a digital signal. The digital representation of brain activity is then broadcast wirelessly through the Bluetooth signal into a separate processing device like a laptop. And that's where Neuralink can start to convert the binary code into usable data. The best example of this was back in 2020 when Neuralink showed us this demo with N1 implanted pigs. The purpose of the demonstration was to show neuron activity associated with the pig's snout. So every time the pig touched something with her nose, the resulting neural spike would be picked up by the N1 implant and broadcast wirelessly to a nearby computer, which would then convert that activity into both audio and visual representations, and this all happened instantly.
This is a high energy pig.
So every blip noise that you hear is a specific neuron firing inside the pig's brain, and the different tones signify different neurons activating as the pig snuffles around in the hay and eats food. The next step up from here is to have the computer convert those bleeps and blips into software commands. This is what we're seeing next with the Mind Pong monkey demonstration. The first thing they do is teach a Neuralink implanted monkey to play a simple video game using a joystick. So, as the monkey is manipulating the controller with his hand, the N1 is broadcasting all of the associated neural activity back to the processing computer. Once they have this data, Neuralink can use machine learning to identify the specific neuron firings that are associated with the physical movements of the joystick. Once they have this code figured out, Neuralink can bypass the joystick, taking neural signals from the N1 to the computer and then converting those into command instructions for the video game. And then, finally, Neuralink can remove the joystick entirely because now all the monkey needs to do is think about moving the paddle on the screen to activate the specific neural pathway that the computer will interpret as a command to the video game. Now, all we have to do is take that very simple demonstration and scale up the complexity to the human level. There's really not a whole lot of difference between a monkey moving a pong paddle and a person moving a cursor on a computer screen. Whether you're using a mouse or a trackpad, or one of those spinning ball things, your intention to move the cursor begins in your motor cortex as a series of neuron activations. So, if you had a Neuralink in your head that was wired into those specific groups of neurons, then instead of that signal having to move from your brain, down your spine, into your arm, into your hand, and into the mouse and into the computer, you could go direct from brain signal to computer command.
You see? And what did they say? Telepathic control. Telepathy. Getting into that advertisement once again. This is them trying to make it more appealing, more desirable, more attractive to you. You see? You can give it telepathic commands. You can put the password in, click on Google, or go here, navigate the computer with just your mind. Also the phone. You don't have to use the phone. You could just call somebody from chip to chip and talk with them. Because, your actual phone, how does it communicate with another phone? It's that chip. If you take your chip out, your phone will tell you there's no SIM card, there's no chip in it. It can't work. It needs that chip, that microchip. Well, they just put that on you. And he's explaining to you right now how it's possible. This is Esau giving you the goods. Pay attention.
This is how we help people who have lost the ability to control their bodies, either through a physical injury or a debilitating disease. With that direct brain-to-computer interface, a paralyzed individual could use a computer just as well as an able-bodied individual.
But guess what? They can cure what would you say? Paralyzation? Somebody who can't walk. All right? They already broke it down. They put the chip on your brain, and then they can bridge that communication down to the part that actually needs the information. And boom, you start walking again or doing whatever again, using your arm or whatever. But what they're trying to do is sell it to you. All right? This right here is the telepathy aspect.
With enough practice, a Neuralink implanted person would be able to use a computer significantly faster and more efficiently than an able-bodied person with a mouse. Taking it back to our simple video game demonstration, imagine you are playing Pong with a joystick and I'm playing Pong with a Neuralink. Now my command intentions can go straight from my brain to I'm playing Pong with a Neuralink. Now my command intentions can go straight from my brain to the computer via Bluetooth, while yours need to travel through your arm and into a controller before the computer even gets the message. Who would be more likely to win the game? And now we are kind of realizing the long-term potential for what Neuralink can do. In the most simple sense, it is going to remove the barriers that separate man from machine. Don't freak out though, not yet at least, because in the short term and even in the medium term, devices like Neuralink are only going to be used for the medical purposes that we've alluded to, restoring functionality to the people who need it the most, and this will likely take decades of work to perfect.
No, it's not. But he's telling you the intentions of this brain chip. You know, this is how he's going to advertise it, is what I mean. He's going to, on the medical side of the game, he's going to show you, hey, people going to walk again. The blind is going to see. The lame is going to do, not be lame anymore. Hey, and this is his tactic of advertisement, man. Try to make it more desirable to you. All right? Pay attention.
Eventually, somewhere down the road, we reach a point where everyone who needs a Neuralink has a Neuralink. And those that do will have technological capabilities that far exceed a non-implanted individual. And this is where brain-computer interface starts to go mainstream, because people who want that enhanced ability will be more than willing to endure a hole in their head to get access to Neuralink. Now it's the year 2045, and you've got your first cybernetic enhancement. Your Neuralink allows you to interface directly with any Bluetooth-enabled device just by thinking. And if that device happens to support a powerful artificial intelligence software, then you've essentially now linked your mind directly to AI, creating a whole new layer of processing power on top of your biological hardware. This is the symbiosis that Elon Musk is always talking about. It's pretty spooky, right? But try not to worry about that stuff too much. We're still a very long way away from it. Neuralink is just beginning the first phase of their initial human studies, and all that they're really looking to do right now is verify that the experiments they've already done in monkeys will have the same results in a human. Then they need to verify that it's safe and effective to have a Fitbit in your skull for years at a time. And then we can start thinking about the next step forward. So until then, you pretty much know everything you need to know about how Neuralink works.
All right. This right here is another video showing you some of the miracles, the left-handed miracles of the brain chip, and how they're going to try to make it more desirable to you, more appealing, more attractive to you. So with no further ado,
it's good to be here. My name is Steve Hoffman, but in Silicon Valley, they call me Captain Hoff. That is my nickname. I am the captain of Founderspace, And Founderspace is an incubator and accelerator. It went black. Here we go. Yeah, an incubator and accelerator that works all over the world. So I spend 70% of my time traveling the globe looking at new technology. We have over 50 partners in 22 countries. And Founderspace has been rated by Forbes magazine as the #1 accelerator for overseas startups in Silicon Valley. We have had many famous startups in our co-working space, Soma Central, like Instagram, AngelList, Foursquare, and today I'm going to talk about some of the technologies that most fascinate me. So, technologies are the future of the brain, our human brain, and where it is headed with technology. So if we examine our brain, we will realize that for over 100,000 years, our brain has remained the same. But the world around us has changed radically. So think about it. We have the same brain as a prehistoric cave person, as a Neanderthals, it's same brain. But the world has totally changed. That is the power of our brain. It's very elastic. It can reprogram itself. But now, we're going to begin to change our brains. And we are doing this with new technology. Now, some of the basic technology out there, EEG, allows you to actually measure your brain waves. And these devices can tell if your concentration levels. They can be used to actually move a cursor on a screen. There are applications for these devices in entertainment. They're working on them for controls for games. In medical, these devices are being used for conditions like PTSD.
Don't you remember I was going over the medical, I was going over the entertainment, and then I went over the pure convenience. All right? These videos that I'm showing you is proving what I'm saying. The things that they can do with this. This is how they're trying to advertise to you. All right? This is a part of the New World Order agenda. The microchip. All right? The technology, the mentality, and then the reality. They built the technology within this New World Order agenda. The technology was built, and then they tried to get you mentally to accept it, the mentality. You start seeing that people start to use the chip, think the chip is more secure. They was getting used to waving their card over here and over there and have it boop, and they could just walk straight out. The society is using cash less, right? So they built a technology. They got you mentally to accept the technology. You have also people having chip parties. They're taking the chip. They're receiving the chip, not just the chip that goes in your hand. They're taking the brain chip also. Once again, the technology, the mentality, and then the reality. And this is when they're going to make it mandatory. Of the reality of why they were doing these things in the first place. Why they were pushing the chip in your hand. Why were they pushing the Neuralink or the chip in your brain? And it's because it's the mark of the beast. And eventually, it's going to be get down or lay down. If you don't got this thing, they're going to put you to death. Are you going to take it?
Traumatic stress disorder and ADHD and other conditions. And they're being used for education. They have applications now for children to study. And they measure their concentration levels and can actually change the applications as the children learns. But where we're headed, and let me tell you, 1 minute, is these devices are now capable of actually recording dreams, but not in a very granular way, in a very primitive way, they can actually capture and identify what a person is dreaming.
You see this? Remember I was talking to you about they can add emotions, they can take emotions away, certain things like this. They can actually read your dreams, figure out what you're dreaming about. You feel me? Eventually, he's going to start talking about it. You can add emotions. You can take it away. Certain emotions away. They can make you fight. Even if you're scared of something, they can make you fight. This is why I said that this reminds me of 2 Ezra 13 when it says that they were sore afraid, but durst still fight. All right? Hey, this chip in the brain, man. The chip that goes into your forehead. Hey, don't take it, man.
They have done studies where they've hooked these devices up to a person's head. They have had them dream. They woke them up, and then they asked them to recall memories in their dreams. And they read the patterns of the brain. And then the person goes back to sleep, and if they dream of the same things, they can recognize those patterns. That is just the beginning of where we are headed. Right now, scientists in laboratories around the world are developing brain chips. Now, these are chips that can be inserted into the brain, and they are wireless. And let me show you. They have actually had a monkey that broke its back. So its spinal cord was severed. The monkey was paralyzed from the waist down.
Knowing Esau, he probably broke the monkey back on purpose, but anyway.
But they inserted a chip in the monkey's brain, and then they inserted another chip in its lower spine. And they allowed the brain to communicate with the lower spine. As soon as they did this, the monkey could walk again. That is amazing. Totally amazing. So they could actually transmit the thoughts of the monkey wirelessly to parts of the body. But it gets even more amazing than that. So they now have in a laboratory monkeys with chips in their brain. And then they have an electric wheelchair. And just by thinking, just with the thought of the monkey, they can drive the wheelchair around. Think about that. If a monkey can do that, what could you do if you had that chip in your brain? They have also done experiments with monkeys with a chip in their brain.
If you had that chip in your brain, you see it? You see the advertisement?
And a robotic arm. And the monkey, just by thinking, can reach out and grab something like food and feed itself. That is amazing if you think about it. So the monkey's thoughts are actually able to control things outside their body. So when we start to think about the future, about where technology is headed, this is where we're going. We will have brain chips in humans. And the people who will get those brain chips first are people who suffer from severe medical conditions. So if you have a severe medical condition, like you're paralyzed from the neck down.
Advertisement. Making it more desirable, appealing, attractive. This is what he's doing. All right? Pay attention.
Or you suffer a brain disorder like Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease, and that brain chip can restore your quality of life. Would you hesitate to get the chip? No, of course not. You would say, put the chip in my brain. So that is starting right now, these experiments.
See?
And even more interesting, scientists have done experiments with rats, and they have chips in the rat's brain. And what they did was they taught a rat how to do certain things. And when the rat did all these complex things, it could get food. Now, it took the rat weeks to learn that. Weeks. But then they hooked the rat's brain chip to the internet, and they had another rat in another city, and instantly they connected those two rats' brains. And do you know what happened? The other rat knew how to get the food right away.
Do you see that? Now, remember earlier in the video, I was talking about if you have a brain chip, you can telepathically communicate with other people with the brain chip. You can pass information along. Well, they actually did an experiment on that with rats, and he just got into it. It took a rat a very long time to find out how to get through this maze. But then they brain chipped the rat to another rat on the internet. And I guess the rat that didn't know how to get through the maze instantly got that information and could find his way because the information was passed through chip to chip that was connected to your brain. So they automatically sent that information out and it uploaded in his brain or the rat's brain. You see that?
It didn't have to learn anything. The knowledge was transferred from one brain of a living animal to another brain. That is amazing. That opens up a world of possibilities, because if they can do that in rats today, imagine 10 years from now what they can do in humans. And we will go there. So, mind-to-mind communication. This is something of science fiction that we all read about. But this is actually possible today, as I just showed you. So there will come a point where if we have a chip in our brain, and you out there have a chip in your brain, we can communicate. We can communicate without talking. We can communicate when you're halfway around the world. And we can exchange knowledge.
So, like I was telling you, you don't need to have a phone in the future. You can call somebody with your brain if you got the brain chip. He's getting into it on this TED Talk. Telepathy. Definition: the supposed communication of thought or ideas by means other than the known senses. All right? Which is, they're going to put that chip on you and then you can communicate. Because right now we can't communicate like that. We have to open our mouths and talk with each other. All right? But Esau is going to do something different. He's going to put a chip in your brain, put a chip in somebody else's brain, and then y'all can communicate through that. And this is the word telepathy. That's why it says the supposed communication, because we can't do that naturally. But with Esau's chip, you won't be able to do it. Some more advertisement videos. You have videos out there that says, what's your superpower? And it's talking about the chip in your brain and the chips in your hand and what you can do with them. Like you're a cyborg and like you got superpowers. This is a part of them trying to advertise it to you. You see? Once again, do not take it. We read in Revelations 14:9 and 10, the punishment that if you do take it. I keep reiterating it, but this is the point of the video. Continuing.
If you look at a world where we have these chips that are connected to the internet, all of a sudden, every piece of information on the internet becomes accessible to our minds. Now, when we look back at today and we have to go to Baidu or Google and type it in, that will seem so primitive. Nobody will do that. You will just think, what knowledge do I need? And it will appear there for you to use. But it gets even weirder, stranger, because we will not only be able to transfer knowledge, but we will be able to transfer memories. Now, so you could have an experience like skydiving, and all of a sudden you could transfer that experience to a friend, and all of a sudden they have experienced what you have experienced. It gets even weirder, because we will be living our lives as our lives. We know our lives and our memories, but But you will all of a sudden have access to anybody's life who wants to make it available to you. People will open source their lives so others can download pieces of their lives and experience those things. That will be really strange. We won't know the difference between our own memory and a memory we acquired from someone else. Think about that. It gets even stranger. So, all of us are here learning at Siebes, right? Getting EMBAs and MBAs. Well, this will be obsolete because Siebes will literally be in the cloud. And you will just download from all the best minds in the world whatever you need to know when you need to know it. Our brains we will no longer have universities as we have them today. That will change. Information will be on demand. Information will be commoditized. Knowledge will be commoditized. All of us will be smarter, have infinite amounts of storage, and infinite access to information. It will be unheard of. We will no longer be this isolated human being. We will be connected to everything. So, you can imagine not only will we be able to get knowledge, but we can actually have full experiences in our head. So right now we have these clunky VR units that we have to put on. But in the future, you can just download a whole environment and actually live in it. And all of you might think, this is not real. But do you know every night when you dream, those dreams are real. No matter how fantastic your dreams are, they are real. You feel like you're really there. Our brains have that capability already built in. All it takes is the technology to stimulate and transfer the right images in our brain so our brain creates them, and then we will live like the difference between us dreaming and reality will be blurred. We will be spending a lot of time outside our bodies. So, think about this. You as a human being right now are trapped in this body. But once you are connected to the internet, you are no longer trapped in your body. You can actually be anywhere at any time that any other person or any other device is getting sensory information. So there could be a robot on Mars, and you could literally tap into the robot on Mars, and it would be like you're on Mars. It could totally recreate the experience, including the sensations, the physical sensations, like everything of you being on Mars. You can live through other people, your favorite pop star, your favorite scientist. You could be in Elon Musk's head right now, walking around doing what he's doing, if Elon Musk allowed you to do that. It gets so strange because our senses now, we have our 5 senses of our body. But suddenly, if we are connected to a world of intelligent machines and intelligent sensors all over, we will no longer have 5 senses. We will have access to hundreds of sensory input, infrared, right? All these UV, all these different types of senses that we never even experienced before. It will radically change how we perceive existence. So if you start to go down this path, you see, we won't even be, our life today will be totally alien to us. We will be living in a whole nother reality that is blending information, sensory information, data information, memories, all of this from all around the world in this vast internet. And that will and can happen.
Are you worried that using your home address for business puts your privacy at risk at iPostal 1?
So let's go even further. Experiencing other lives. So all of us experience things in our life. But now we will be able to have many lives. You can have many lives because you can access other people in other places and live through them. And if you want to think about this, it can be almost like heaven. Why do I say this?
Hear this, heathen?
Because if you study every major religion in the world, every religion, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, what those religions promise us is that we will escape our bodies in the future. We will go to some heaven.
No, we're going to get new bodies. All right? We're going to get new bodies. We're going to be programmed to not break the law, statutes, and commandments. We're going to be under the second covenant. All right?
Or nirvana, or a state of non-being, or a state of inclusiveness with every...
No, we're not going to be in a state of non-being. What the hell are you talking about? That's not what we teach.
Everybody. No longer will we and our consciousness be confined to our bodies as an individual. In fact, if you look at us right now as a human being, if I feel pain, if I'm in pain, nobody else can feel the pain I feel.
Well, in the scriptures, it says that when we get these new bodies, we're not going to feel any more pain. So right now, this heathen is lying. Look, what he's doing right now is trying to sell the MOTB to you. He's advertising it to you. You see what we can do here, 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 here? If you're blind, if you're crippled, if you're maimed, if you're deaf, if you're dumb, we can make all that better. Just take the brain chip. You see the way he's moving right now? This is the advertisement. But as the scripture said, he calls it all, which means eventually it's not going to be voluntary. You volunteer. You say, you know what, I get it. It's going to be involuntary. It's going to be mandatory. You're going to have to get it. All right? But listen. Look, I paused it 144 and 7. Look, how about that?
If you're in pain, I can't feel your pain. I can feel sorry for you. I can empathize with you, but I cannot feel your pain. But in this world, we will actually be able to feel the emotions of other people. You can actually not just transfer data and sensory information, but emotions. I would know your pain, you would know our pain, and human beings would never be alone. So, we will come to a point where we, as gods, like gods, will be creating our own reality. We will be redefining what the human experience is for the first time in history. This can happen, and it will happen, but what we want to think about is this. Technology is really powerful. The internet, being connected, is really powerful, but we've already seen in a very primitive way, just with our cell phones, these primitive devices, how it can totally change our life. Like all of our lives are changed by WeChat. All of our lives are changed by the internet. Well, we are embarking on a path now where we will become the internet. The internet will become us. They will be inseparable. We'll have our storage and everything else all over the place. And when we do that, we have to understand that this is a big responsibility. It's something we as a society, we as the human race, must think about very, very carefully. Because imagine, people can hack your cell phone now. People can hack your computer, and it can be bad. They can steal your banking information, take all your money. They can steal your identity, but they can't really hurt you. In the future, though, if somebody hacks into your head because it's connected to the internet, they can steal you. They could actually steal you. They can implant memories in your head that you don't have. They could erase memories. They could control you in ways that you wouldn't even know you're being controlled. Is this scary? So I painted on the hand a heaven, but there is also a hell, right? This is heaven and hell.
No, it is not. If you take the MOTB, you will be destroyed. There is no you take the MOTB, but there's a heaven with it. But we just got to watch out for the people who's trying to use the MOTB for the wrong reason. No, it's not none of that. You take it, you're going to be destroyed. Don't take it. This is a part of Esau's trickery right here.
We are on the cusp of this technology that is so powerful and has the potential to so radically transform our lives and our existence, and we have to be very careful about how we do this. We don't want people controlling us. So think about this. Think very carefully. Everybody in this room are very smart people. You're all highly educated. We are going to be making these decisions that lay the groundwork for this technology in our lifetime. And those decisions will affect the rest of humanity more than any decisions we have made in the past. So I wanted to thank you. I am the...
Hey, as you see it, hey, they're advertising at MOTB. This was the video showing you how they're trying to advertise the brain chip. This is What is the Mark of the Beast, Part 3, focusing on the Neuralink, the brain chip, the brain MOTB. And with that, Mr. Shalom.